Welcome, 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 and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day you are choosing to watch these videos. Guess what? It's our last round of videos for the semester. Can you believe it? We have made it. We have survived, maybe just barely, but we have indeed survived through yet another semester. So you should be very, very proud of yourselves, even if you're crawling to the finish line. That is totally fair and totally okay, but we are nearly there. So some big announcements for the kind of beginning, I guess. Late work due date this Sunday. So if you're behind on anything or need to get anything turned in, that's going to be the time to do it. I have very little sympathy beyond that day. And then the Smart Book reading assignment's really the biggest thing that's going to help you prep for your final. The final is going to be available all week long, Monday through Friday, from Monday, I think 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. on Friday. It is open book, open note, open resource. You are welcome to also, work in groups if you want. Same format as the previous exams, so nothing new there. And let's see, what else? Still come to class on Thursday. We're going to do a finals prep day on that day. And it also kind of depends on how much of these slides we get through in today's lecture. Okay, so that's kind of that. So we finished talking about the Nectin on Thursday, right? The Swimmers of the Sea. We watched that really depressing footage of the walrus stuff. We talked about the other different animals, finished off with whales, in my opinion, probably the most important of the creatures. And so what I like finishing with is talking about the benthic environment. So chapter 14 is basically talking all about the biology of the creatures and critters that live on or near the seafloor. Your book goes into further detail of different algae and macroscopic plankton, basically like kelp and things like that. I don't really focus too much on that in particular here, but of course you are more than welcome to learn more about it if it interests you. So that's what we got. That's what we got for today. So let's check it out. I'm gonna move my little head over here. Okay. So the benthic environment. So recalling what the benthic environment is, it is everything on, about, or near the ocean floor. Anything that can be attached to or, close by the ocean floor. It is remarkably diverse. Scientists have found over 200,000 different species of living things, and 80% of which belong to the epifauna and live on or attached to rocky areas and firm sediments. Infauna creatures are the ones that live underneath the sediment and are often found in softer areas around mud and sand. And then further classification of these animals is done by size. So the little nuggets that we're going to focus on in these videos are going to be suspension feeders, organisms of the rocky shore, which honestly I think those are super, super interesting because they're the creatures that you would see if you go to the tide pools in Half Moon Bay. So that's why I kind of focus on that a little bit. A little bit of attention to the deep sea floor and coral reefs, and then totally finishing out with symbiotic relationships between animals. So starting with the weird little things, suspension feeders. So suspension feeders are attached to hard surfaces, and they feed by filtering water. They use cilia to bring water and food into them, like those little kind of arm thingies. And they can also include critters that move across hard surfaces and can commonly hunt other animals. So just looking at some of the creatures we have here, we have the lovely little anemone. This is a sessile carnivore, very graceful and beautiful nudie branches and sea slugs, which are what these three examples are. And then lastly, we have sea stars here in the bottom left corner. So you can even see with just these 5 pictures how different each creature is. Even with sea stars, like there's varieties in color, in the number of arms, how hard their outer shells are, which is really, really fascinating to me. What's kind of sad is there's a disease affecting sea stars right now called sea star dissolving disease or something like that. Scientists aren't really fully sure why that's happening, but at least from the last time I had looked into it. And so not great. They're basically like dissolving away, which is pretty sad. And I think I tried to show a video at the beginning of the semester of how a sea star walks, and it has like these little tubulars as little legs, and how it kind of walks and moves. It's really kind of weird and creepy. So what's also really fascinating with suspension feeders, they are very, very influenced by the structure of their benthic habitat, meaning how deep is it? Is there a lot of energy down there? Is it hard or soft? Is there light? Very similar to like the conditions and adaptations that we talked about already, right? So fish have to deal with, different temperatures and salinity values and pressure and depth and things like that, and light. The suspension feeders do as well. So these lovely creatures, some examples here. So this is a sea star that is eating a little clam. Which is really kind of weird and interesting looking. And then we have different types of urchin here. I think it's purple urchin and green urchin. Yes, okay. So they are very closely related to sea stars, but they are actually herbivores. And if we remember, I know we've talked about the sea otter kelp and sea urchin relationship many times, but it's the same kind of idea here. And they can decimate entire kelp forests, and they walk around very similarly. Their spiky little spikes are not very fun. And then this is a pink sea scallop. First of all, scallops swim away really weird. They kind of like do this little sort of thing, which is super odd. But it might be kind of hard to see, but if you look on the slides when I post them, these little black dots kind of rimming the top of the shell, those are its eyes. Isn't that weird? Oh, that's so weird. And then this picture here, this is actually a beak of an urchin. So you can also sort of see like the little tubulars, very similar to that of the sea star because they are of the same family. So I wanted to show this as well to show the overall distribution along the sea floor. This map here shows, this is a data from the Census of Marine Life where scientists have modeled the biomass in the benthic environment. So the redder colors here indicate a larger biomass, and the blue colors indicate a low biomass. And we can see, much like if we were to bring up that map that we talked about before of the primary productivity and compare it to this map here, we would see very similar results, right? So basically, the coastal regions have the heavier or the highest density of benthic distribution, whereas in the middle of the open oceans, there's not as much benthic activity. And that kind of makes sense, right? In the coastal areas, you have better access to light and nutrients, whereas in the deep oceans, you don't have as much access to that. Does it mean that the deep ocean is completely devoid of life? No. However, it does indeed have some, it does indeed, it's not as populated, say, as the coastal waters. Let's see here. I think that's where we'll go ahead and give this give this a pause here. And then the next videos, we'll talk about the organisms of the rocky shores and things of that nature. So a short first video today. Thank you so much for watching.